is a TFsource video review of TakaraTomy Alternity Bumble and Cliff. Minibots have always felt like they had a second-class citizen status amongst their fellow Autobots. Small fries like Windcharger, Huffer, and Beachcomber have slowly been inching their way up the ladder of Autobot rank with recent larger-size figures in various toy lines. The greatest Cinderella story of all original Minibots belongs to Bumblebee with his glamorous rejuvenation in the Transformers live-action movies. And we all know that where Bumblebee travels, his hot-headed buddy Clliffjumper is sure to follow. This duo has a sordid history of being repaints of each other, starting with some well-known errors from the original G1 toy line. As the third mold to be released into TakaraTomy's Alternity line, Bumble and Cliff appear as the Suzuki Swift Sport, and for the first time, feature specifically unique head molds. Bumble and Cliff come packaged from TFsource in bulletproof fashion. Remove the cardboard support and outer cellophane to view the unique character art for each figure. These illustrations and unique back panel figure photos reinforce the idea that these are not just simple redecos a la Alternity Megatron and Convoy. Like other Alternity packages, only one piece of tape is necessary to be cut to release the toy inside. The Alternity packaging is easily resealed and features an inner cardboard support and collapsible bubble insert. Each figure has their own large, unfolding instruction manual that features a single comic panel, explaining the ever-expanding and mind-bending Alternity story. Like other Alternity figures, the package itself is very satisfying. The Suzuki Swift Sport is a great consolation vehicle for these little guys, since it appears we may never again see them reimagined in their original iconic alt modes, a Volkswagen Beetle and a stubby Porsche. The car is very sturdy, and like the other Alternity molds, appears more like a solid model than a transforming toy. The hood, each of the four doors, and the rear hatch all open just like their real-life counterpart. Of note is the robot head peering out from under the trunk when the hatch is open. The underside of the vehicle mode is very flat, and the only discernible robot part is, again, the head. The transformation to robot mode from the Swift car was challenging for me. The Alternity mechanism utilized within the guts of Bumble and Cliff proved difficult to properly activate, and left me forcing some parts to move with the fear of them breaking. Luckily, nothing broke, but I was unable to properly transform Bumble, and his car hood was left protruding from his waist. Once transformed, the word portly comes to mind. Not since the likes of Energon Optimus Prime has a robot mode featured so much junk in the proverbial trunk. The lack of transformation for the interior of the car leaves a very flat surface on the robot's chest. This unfortunately leaves the contour of the bot mode with stockier proportions than what we are used to. The feet were also a point of contention. This mold suffers from what I call nondescript foot syndrome, meaning the feet are not well defined and appear to be a jumble of parts. As the load-bearing junction for the entire figure, these feet were difficult to visualize and just appear a little bit unfinished. Although there are a few negative aspects to dwell upon, the robot mode is still a decently pleasing addition to the Alternity line. It applies the aesthetic in a new way to a completely different type of character. The head sculpts are excellent and even feature extending horns and light piping. The figure has one of those unique transformations during which its weapons can be stored on the figure. These engine blocks turned dual pistols can be held in each hand or holstered on the inner thigh during robot mode. Since these characters have never really had their own specific weapons, these somewhat generic handguns are just right. Although this is a completely new real-world alt mold for Bumblebee, it is actually very similar to other recent alt modes for the character in animated and classics. There is even a sort of kitsch similarity when the Swift is seen next to the original Volkswagen version from Generation 1. The variety of hues between the different yellow plastics is worth noting amongst the multitude of Bumblebee figures. The robot modes are night and day different between the original G1 iterations and the new 21st century Alternity versions. Comparing figures of the same character more than 20 years apart really helps to illustrate where the Transformers have come since the 80s. With so many recent figures representing Bumblebee, there really just isn't a lot to compare Clliffjumper to, which is not a simple repaint of Bee. Now that these Minibots have entered the realm of Alternity, the Autobots have a significant advantage over their Decepticon adversaries, but that is all about to change. A few months from now, the Alternity Decepticons will be adding some much-needed muscle in the form of Starscream and Skywarp, and the inevitable third redeco of Thundercracker. Since each Alternity mold so far has been given 3 redecos, what can we expect from the Bumblebee mold? A white bug bite, a green wasp, or even hubcap? The robot mode has its hits and misses, so make sure that this figure fits your personal collection requirements before picking it up. If you love accurate car alt modes, either figure will be an excellent addition. If you weren't satisfied with or missed a chance to get the classics versions, Alternity Bumble or Cliff is your chance to get something a little different from the norm.